G'day campers and welcome back. Today I'm talking about this little beauty. It was a present from my good lady and it's a 1 to 220 scale cutty sark. Never built a ship before. It was a little bit delicate for my arthritic fingers, but nevertheless learned a lot about how these sailing ships were rigged and the amount of ropes that should be on this ship that I didn't put them all on because it was just taking too long and I would break more trying to put more on. It came out well. I was thrilled. Once built, I had it sitting on the shelf and I thought, well, it needs something a little bit better than just sitting on the shelf. So being that it was a 1 to 220 scale, which is Z scale, and I had some Z scale stuff lying around because I've been collecting trains and models and things for 40 years now, so had a bit sitting about. I thought, how about displaying it in a layout? So with that in mind, I thought, let's get on and design something. So while watching TV one night, I scribbled some bits and pieces on some paper and came up with this plan. It wasn't set in stone or anything. I just gave me an idea and a concept to get on with. What I had lying about, which I've never used before, is this acoustic soundboard. An office was throwing a heap of it out that they'd just taken off the wall, and not being one to resist a good bargain, I said I'll have that and I'm sure I'll find a use for it one day. And I've grown to love it now. It's an awesome product. It's so easy to work with, so easy to cut, just hot glue it together. You can trim it down with a Stanley knife and do all sorts with it. I'm really enjoying working with it. The first thing I had to consider was the vehicle that I have, and I've only got a little hatchback, so I measured the back of that, started construction from there. I haven't got any video of me doing anything, unfortunately. These are all just still shots, but I can talk through enough of it there for you so you get the idea of what's going on, I'm sure. Right, bench work. Again, to keep this as light as possible, I just went with 2x1 battens and made the legs out of a water pipe, a PVC water pipe. And it all unclips and the legs pop out of the base so that it all packs up underneath and folds away very nicely. Just as a point of reference, we put the boat on there to see how much real estate I'd actually end up with. Using Pico FlexiTrack Z gauge, I bent it up a little bit, tested a few locos around it to make sure that it would fit around the radius, and came up just with a simple loop. Using a sharp Stanley knife and plenty of hot glue, set about making a track bed. Now, to give me some depth on the layout, I raised the track work up quite a bit so I could then build mountains higher, and I could have the scenery down below it as well to give it a real 3D depth. So by just cutting up a heap of spaces and then laying the track work on top of that, that gave me the basis for the track loop, and then I could work all the scenery from there. Creating the formwork was just cardboard boxes that I had lying around, chopped into strips and just hot glued into place. Hot glue is your best friend when it comes to doing scenery work. I use it for just about everything. It's versatile, dries quick, cools down quick, sticks anything to anything, and very versatile to use. Right, the framework was coming together good. With the back panels on there, it was very rigid, there wasn't a lot of twist in it, it all held together well. I had plenty of height behind to put some mountains in, and plenty of depth below to put some water in for the boat to bob around on. I thought about kids coming to the show, and little kids and big kids just love to touch. Obviously I didn't want them reaching over and grabbing the cutty sark, and I didn't want to have a rope and chains around the front of the layout. And I had plenty of this acoustic board left over, so I figured I'd make a surround that the kids could touch. It would keep them away from the scenery that I didn't want them touching, and it would create a heck of a lot more real estate to put some more scenery on and really give it an impact. I rested this acoustic paneling on supports. It's very simple to detach when we're packing up, and very easy to put together, sliding the poles in. Again, with hot glue will stick to the PVC pipe, hot glue will stick to the acoustic soundboarding, and hot glue will stick Velcro to anything. So use a ton of hot glue, a ton of Velcro, and I think 8 or 9 of these pipes just stuck in the sides, and then the acoustic boarding sat on top of that and created a nice barrier. I started the hill work on the terrain, and again, cardboard strips just cut out of Weet-Bix boxes, whatever was lying around. Hot glue to lattice work together. Now the beauty of this system too is once you've got your hill made, you can push the cardboard into the shapes that you're after and form it. So just because you've made a hill with the cardboard doesn't mean it has to stay a hill. You can just put some pressure on it, create some depressions, and give it a bit more character. So super happy with the formwork here, and then got on to how I was going to cover that formwork, trying to keep it as light as possible so that I could literally carry this layout by myself if it came to that. I looked at different products that I could put on top of the cardboard to give me some terrain. Things I have done in the past, I have used Dacron wrapping. As my trade was in furniture restoration and upholstering, I have used a lot of Dacron in my model layouts in the past. It's a great system to use, and I'll demonstrate it one day. It does require a lot of paint. So if you can go down to your local hardware store, generally they've got a discount rack somewhere of paints that have been tinted up the wrong colour and they're just trying to quit it. Keep one of those on hand, and if you use this Dacron method, you've got the texture and all that there all ready for grass, and you just got to sprinkle some flocking on it or give it a bit of a touch up with paint. Another cool product to use is Chuck's wipes. You can glue these down onto the cardboard or foam work or whatever you're using, and it'll absorb plaster and other mediums, whatever you want to put on it with the holes. That and Hessian is another good one. That's a really good product to use as well. Very porous. It'll absorb the plaster and anchor everything in. When I get onto some tutorial videos, I'll show you guys step by step how I go about my process, and then you can see exactly how I use all these materials to get the results I do. On this layout, I went the Dacron route. So I had some Dacron left over, so glued the Dacron down onto the cardboard. I had a 20-litre pail of Mission Brown paint that I had left over from painting a fence, and just painted the Dacron with that. Like I said, it does soak up a bit of paint, but painted the Dacron, it helps sticks it to the terrain, and it gives it a nice texture, as you can see there. I'll zoom a little bit so you can see that. Making sure to cover up all the track work so that we don't get too much paint and stuff over the top of that. Once that was all dried off, which does take a few days because you're using a lot of paint, I then got a can of the trusty expandable foam. Went crazy with that, spraying that wherever I thought I'd need some rock texture or building up. It's a great product to use, so light, so easy to work with. Leaving that for 24 hours to expand and dry, and then I literally hop into it with screwdrivers. I've got a jib saw that I use. I love using that. Anything with a sharp point on it, just drag it across the foam, and it pulls out bits of foam, and already starts giving you a bit of a rock texture. And when I'm happy with that, I then mixed up a plaster slurry that I brushed on and around and into all the holes of the foam, just giving that a nice light coat, because again I'm not wanting it to be heavy, giving that a light coat of plaster all over. This helps fill out and even out some of the terrain, and it also, plaster is a great medium to paint. It absorbs colour really well and allows you to get some really good colours and depth in the paintwork. Turn my attention to the surrounding that again I'm wanting the kids to touch. A stormy ocean just had to be on the surround. The PVA paper towel water was the best method to use. I've used resin in the past, and I've used other Woodland Scenic, easy water, all those sort of things. They're all great, they've all got their purpose, but for this, PVA was going to be the best thing. So I found this awesome big white tray that was just perfect for this type of thing. So tearing up a whole bundle of white paper towels and mixing up about a 50-50 water PVA slurry, I soak about 4 or 5 of these sheets at once. Once they're all saturated with the glue, lay that onto the job, put another 4 or 5 in, let that soak, lay that onto the job. I like to leave these on the job for a little while to really soak. You almost want the fibres to break down to a pulp, because we have to get rid of the embossing that's on most paper towels, and then you want to form up the waves and that sort of thing. So the softer and gooey it is, the more you can manipulate it around and form your waves. With sufficient paper towels on the board, and with them pulpy enough now that I can start working with them, I grab a fairly stiff paintbrush. I actually get old brushes and cut half the bristles off so that you're working close to the base of the brush, and it gives you a really nice firm texture on the brush, so you can stipple scenery, and ideal for doing this water type work. With the PVA glue and that, you've got a long time that you can work with this. You can almost even come back the next day and push it around a little bit still. Once the ocean pieces were done, I put them aside to dry. They took about a week to dry out properly. I got to work on the terrain itself. I go over that with either a light wire brush or a very stiff paintbrush. Gets rid of any flaky bits. I prefer to use the leopard spot method of painting rocks, getting a few colours, putting them in stratas, and then with a very watered down paint mix, just washing the rocks and letting the plaster soak up what it needs to, and then going over it with another colour. Again, I will do some tutorials on that in due course. Unfortunately, I don't have any pictures of the terrain work itself, but sprinkling static grass, flocking, all that sort of stuff around, planting some trees. Now the trees are an interesting one. I don't see the point myself in making too many trees these days. With the likes of Amazon and Temu, you can buy cheap enough trees and then redress them yourself. A bit of spray glue, a bit of hairspray and some flocking. You can change the character of any of these bright green Christmas type trees you buy from Amazon and the like. So yeah, it's not worth going to the hassle of winding up armatures and flocking and all that sort of carry on, I feel. I'd rather be doing something more productive, but each to their own. So unfortunately it's a bit of a jump, but here we are now with the layout complete. Unfortunately I've got no records of the process of painting the water, but I'm in the process of building another layout for display, which I am trying to document how I've gone about the ocean and the painting and that sort of stuff. So that will be coming along in due course. So here's the layout completed and on display. Thrilled with the way it came out, and as I thought, seeing a ship and ocean at a train show took the public a bit by surprise and really caught everyone's attention. before I took it on display for the second time, I actually got the boat animated, and now you can see it here rocking away in the waves. It really catches people's eyes. So there you go, guys. Hope you enjoyed that. A bit of a brief overview. Again, I'm happy to do any tutorials on any aspect of this modelling. So by all means, put some comments down below if there's anything particular you want to see. And tell all your friends if you could. Get them along to the channel. I'd love to share my skills with anyone who's interested, and would love to see you all here next time. So happy modelling. We'll see you then. Bye for now.